Good Wednesday morning. Good Wednesday morning. Hopefully this microphone is working. We can but hope. Hope everyone is well. Yeah, I do. I hope everyone is well and good Wednesday, midweek. If there's a midweek, it's kind of Wednesday, isn't it? Even though it's probably not. Definitely. Good morning, everyone. Michelle, Peter. Hope everyone's having a nice day. Hey, Ad. Yeah, so Wednesday, it seems, is the day of Odin. I thought I'd do a bit of a Google on Wednesday, and I remember that all the days are named pretty much from ancient mythology and, like, usually solar cycles or something. But the main first view said, yeah, cool. The first view said, oh, Wednesday means the day after Tuesday and the day before Thursday. And it just shows you exactly what the world is about when it tries to teach you something. It teaches you nothing at first, then you have to kind of dig a bit deeper. Look under some rock and find that there was more to learn. Yeah, the sun is out there. I haven't followed Odin's men channel, X channel on here. Okay, that was a new one. X channel? Or was that an accidental X? Hannel. Hannel. I didn't even say that right. X Hannel. Yeah. Sorry, Michelle, if I pointed that out. I didn't mean to do. I didn't know what an X Hannel was. Huh? Oh, yeah. Okay. Probably. You know what, Michelle? I find it offensive that so many people find things that are funny offensive. But I find it offensive in a funny way. Sometimes it really is offensive, though, isn't it? Not really looking to do that, Mr. Deacon. I think the only person I kind of roast is Crinkle, isn't it? Really, he made it. He made it seem personal to me over these over this last year or so, and that's about the only person I ever really do that to. Okay, so here's a question: Who knew that Wednesday was the day of Odin? Because I think I did find out and then forgot. I had some recall, but I could not have told you it was the day of Odin. Crinkle and Michelle are good friends. Hmm. Yeah, I'll have a look, Michelle. So I hope everyone's day of what? Ah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, day of Odin. Odin. You know, Odin. The day of Odin. Yeah. Hey, Hunt. Yes, the day of Odin. You know, Odin. Norse. Valhalla. Doesn't it make doesn't it make you just feel like you want to put on one of those helmets with a horn on either side of it? Well, not really. Maybe grab a sword and a shield, or and an axe. You know that axe is relevant. Hey, UK transplant. Ragnar Lothbrok. Well, actually, there was a movie called The Norseman. That was quite good. Yes, a Viking god, father of Thor, I think. Except I might have to do a bit of a search to find out too much more. But yeah, he's the one in control of Valhalla, basically the place where they all want to go after dying in battle with honor. Where is the honor? Yeah, the reason why I put that was because it's Wednesday, and I wanted to put a bit of why it was Wednesday instead of just Wednesday. And then it showed me through my little searches that the information you're given first isn't always the information that is relevant to what you're looking for. And that's the same with life and being taught and learning and school and curriculum and everything, it seems. So it's going to be do your own research and don't just take the first thing that you find. Because there's a damn shit more interesting information on what you're looking for usually. Like, our culture is completely entertainment based nowadays, isn't it? For quite a few decades, entertainment, entertain. Are you entertained? Entertain. And when I say decades, I mean thousands of years. So what entertains us? And what should entertain us? The royalists? What are you talking about, Mr. Deacon? I'm not a royalist. Although I recognise some of the things they do, and only some of those things they do. It's not like they're actually doing anything other than signing things. Everything else they do, I don't believe it's very good. Yes, ties to paganism. Always interesting to me that was outlooking. Like when you ask, why is it a Christmas tree? What is it? What's it for? What's it mean? Where's it come from? Why Santa in a red suit? Oh, he should have been in a green suit, should he? But they changed it to red after Coca-Cola. Oh, strange. Yeah, probably Mr. Deacon's about all you need to say there with that. Yeah. I mean, you know, Jimmy Savile was like their secret fix-it man. Yeah. See, I didn't even know what I was saying there, but he was like a public and a secret fix-it man. Jim will fix it for you. Oh, God, that's put a whole new fucking meaning into it for everyone there, I think, and me. Wow. Oh, I can fix it for you. Oh. I don't even like doing that impression, but I used to as a kid enjoy doing that impression. Mind you, I did hear a joke. I suppose I can do. You know, they said if he was still alive and he made it to court, and they said, "Tell us in your own words," and he'd go, "As it happens, as it happens. Now then, now then." Oh, what it was the Queen. Oh, and that prince. Oh, bloody love him. Oh, and Margaret Thatcher. And he'd probably say a few high-rated criminals that he saw, but then everyone would know that anyway, wouldn't they? It's a high-rated criminal. So there we are. I roasted Jimmy Savile. Is that all right? Shit. I didn't mean to. I can't watch some dramatized program about him though. I did watch some of the documentaries when they made the documentaries, but I won't watch some dramatized version of it. I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's. No. not something I could stomach. And I don't know why they made it. Very good. Hey, me, 8 eggs. Yeah, Prince Charles' best mate. Yeah. Now then, Charles. What you need to do is So midweek. What happens? I don't know. Called our father. I think I may have seen. Yeah, is that the genetic? Sorry, the Actually, I don't know what the hell it is, but yeah, I think I've seen something somewhere on that outlooking. Hmm. Hmm. Wonders never cease. I think one day, we're not even going to be watching that type of shit. We're going to go, our own lives, our own lives are more entertaining than everybody else's. It happens, doesn't it? Like, oh shit, I've just got to go out and do some real shit in my life. And it ends up being really, really good. A shitload more entertainment entertaining than what you were watching. Surely that's what it's all about. I have to admit, there's a lot of good in some of the things they're made. I myself have been pretty addicted to it, but we all are, pretty much. Shit, I remember watching that movie, the one with Charlie Bucket and the chocolate factory. There was that kid called Mike TV, and I thought, huh, he looks like me, except for the cowboy thing. But like, he just watched TV, and that's what I did when I saw that. I was always watching TV. It's like a fucking foot away. Saturday morning to go outside for a bit, come back in, watch TV for about 5 hours. And I've also had times when all I could do was watch TV. And that was before remotes. So you couldn't change the channel. At least nowadays we get to change the goddamn channel. Yeah, Odin is the Norse god, Bob Scott. Yeah, that's the thing you see. All these ancient things get a lot of things named after them, but I think naming Wednesday was probably a pretty prominent one in use of. Because if you dig deep enough later, you can find that. But every Wednesday has been the day of Odin. And Odin does seem to have been created before Zeus. He's also in the Avengers, if I remember right, played by Anthony Hopkins. and probably quite a freaking load of other people as well. He is the supreme god and creator in Norse mythology. Yeah. And Germanic mythology. Oh, interesting. And Vodanuts, Lord of Frenzy, or Leader of the Possessed. And the symbol does seem, oh, it's Valknut, the welcome of Odin. And there's like 3 interlocking triangles pointing upwards. Huh. Cool symbol. Sorry, I was just lost in the symbol. I think I got hypnotized. Yeah, I know one thing about Viking times. You've got a horn on your hat. Don't put it on a chair. I bet. Do not put it on a chair. He has. They say he has one eye, all seeing. Yeah. There we go. Very funny. Oh, how the world is blessed with such comedians. Us all. Come on, we are pretty funny. No, no, no gash flashing. Oh, right. I had to work that out. Yeah, I just put the link out there, so hopefully that form bomb is not there. Yeah, if that's what you mean. Yeah, there's no need to be watching an eagle killing nowadays, I suppose, is there? You don't want to. Yeah, looking. That's supposed to be a difference between you know, the gods and us. Actual memory of abilities passed down. Mm. But yeah, I'm going to do this one. Okay, so in keeping with the whole point I mentioned about the Wednesday in my little search, and I find out that the meaning of Wednesday first is presented to me. The answer to that question as the meaning was the day after Tuesday and the day before Thursday. That was what I was supposed to believe. And that is what some people might say. Okay, then that's what it means. Yeah. And who, you know, doesn't seem to be much wrong with that, does there? But then you find out it's the day of Odin. Well, that's more interesting, to be honest. A lot more interesting. So, I mean, that is the point. As I mentioned a few times before, that we're lost at sea. And if we're lost at sea, who says so? Well, the government, actually. You see, this is the QV Act 1666, which is an act of English Parliament. And I think this one was updated in 1991. So even though it was 1666, it was 1991 that it was updated. So I hope I'm not going to make this a bit monotonous, but there are a few words that get repeated because you have to cover, or they have to cover certain points. And that just like think of Shakespeare. Sorry. Or maybe I should read it like that. How did Olivier do it? So the Sister QV Act 1666, an act for redress of inconveniences by want of proof of the deceases of persons beyond the seas or absenting themselves, upon whose lives estates do depend. So is that all right? Now you see how it's written, 1666, remember? Yes, the world is a stage, man like ticks. But when you don't know it's a stage, what does that mean? And then when you do know it's a stage, what does that mean? So I could try and read it differently. The recital that Sister KVs have gone beyond sea, and that revisioners cannot find out whether they are alive or dead. I could read it like that, I suppose. I don't know if we can keep that up, though. So, whereas diverse lords of manors and others have granted estates by lease for one or more life or lives, or else for years determinable upon one or more life or lives, and it hath often happened that such person or persons for whose life or lives such estates have been granted have gone beyond seas, or so absented themselves for many years that the lessers and revisioners cannot find out whether such person or persons be alive or dead, by reason whereof such lessers and revisioners have been held out of possession of their tenements for many years, after all the lives upon which such estates depend are dead, in regard that the lessers and revisions, when they have brought actions for the recovery of their tenements, have been put upon it, prove the death of their tenants, when it is almost impossible for them to discover the same, for remedy of which mischief so frequently happening to such lessers or revisioners. So that's the first part. I've just got, I can see you there, Grim. You just have to wait a couple of minutes. It doesn't take long to read this. Okay, so the Sesta KV remaining beyond sea for 7 years together and no proof of their lives, judge in action to direct a verdict as though Sesta KV were dead. If such person or persons for whose life or lives such estates have been or shall be granted as aforesaid, shall remain beyond the seas, or elsewhere absent themselves in this realm by the space of 7 years together, and no sufficient and evident proof be made of the lives of such person or persons, respectively, in any action commenced for recovery of such tenements by the lessers or revisioners, in every such case, the person or persons upon whose life or lives of such estate depended shall be accounted as naturally dead. And in every action brought for the recovery of the said tenements by the lessers or revisioners of their heirs or assigns, the judges before whom such action shall be brought shall direct the jury to give their verdict as if the person so remaining beyond the seas or otherwise absenting themselves were dead. And the last part. If the supposed dead man prove to be alive, then the title is revested. Action for mean profits with interest, provided always that if any person or persons shall be evicted out of any lands or tenements by virtue of this act, and afterwards, if such person or persons upon whose life or lives as such estate or estates depended shall return again from beyond the seas, or shall on proof in any action be brought for recovery of the same person or persons, to be made appear to be living, or to have been living at the time of the eviction, that then and from thenceforth the tenant or lessee who was outed of the same, his or their executors, administrators or assignees, shall or may re-enter, repossess, have hold, and enjoy the said lands or tenements in his or their former estate, for and during the life or lives of so long term as the said person or persons upon whose life or lives the said estate or estates depend shall be living, and also shall upon action or actions to be brought by him or them against the lessers, revisioners, or tenants in possession or other persons respectively, which since the time of the said eviction received the profits of the said lands or tenements, recover for damages the full profits of the said lands or tenements respectively, with lawful interest for and from the time he or they were outed of the said lands or tenements, and kept or held out of the same by the said lessers, revisioners, tenants, or other persons who, after the said eviction, received the profits of the said lands or tenements, or any of them respectively, as well in the case when the said persons or persons upon whose life or lives such estate or estates did depend are or shall be dead at the time of bringing of the said action or actions, as if the said person or persons were then living. And that is the current legislation.gov.uk. And I don't need to give a link. It's just simply there. If you want to know how it's spelt, I can certainly do that. That can help. But we do live and use that name every day, and I haven't been able to see any of the chat, but I'm going to bring Grim on there.
Morning.
Hello, Grim. Is that you? Yeah.
Yes, it's me.
That's very good because I forgot how to put myself
Oh,
up for a
I'm not
second.
going to do anything stupid. I'll leave that
Oh,
for the jokers.
maybe we all do something stupid, don't we?
Nah.
But not that stupid. Yeah, not that stupid. No.
How are you, mate? It's a while since
Yeah,
you spoke.
not too bad. Yeah. And I I was on watching your live the other day. Like that was cool.
Which one was that? Forgotten.
I don't probably see them all, so I'm not sure which one it was.
Could
Even.
have been Mondays. If it was this week. Yeah, that was a different one.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So as I know you have a particular opinion on common law, that is something that is legislation right now. That is actually the actual legislation I just read. So
Yeah.
that is current legislation. What did you
Yeah.
think about that being current legislation? I mean, I know it was written in a somewhat specific way.
Yeah, it's designed
But
around lawyers.
yeah, but there is still the meaning which comes through.
You sort of lost me a bit because
I know it does do that. It does do that. Well, there's what happens is it kind of repeats, so you do get a bit confused as to where you actually are with what you're trying to take in.
yeah.
But there are some bits in between the
Well, tell you what, can you translate it into English?
translate it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even dare to, but I could probably point out some of the important bits.
Yeah,
Like
that would help.
the bit recite that this is the title. The recital that says that QVs have gone beyond the sea, and that revisionists cannot find out whether they are alive or dead. That's the title of the first part. There were 3 parts that I read.
Mm.
So, and the title of the entire thing, an act for redress of inconveniences by want of proof of the deceases of persons beyond the seas or absenting themselves, upon whose lives estates do depend. In other words, needed proof of the death of people beyond who've gone beyond the sea, and that lost at sea, basically.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
beyond the sea. They're beyond the sea. They're lost at sea.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you prove that someone's actually lost at sea?
Well, you see, you don't. After 7 years, that's what they do. They say you're presumed dead, lost at sea. Yeah. But for 7 years,
they're
they wait.
presumed dead.
They give you that chance because, of course, getting on a boat is pretty risky business, and it still is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, including getting on a plane.
Yeah. So when one of the specific I'm trying to think of the word writing and law purposes that they use when you go on the sea.
Yeah.
Is they put your name in capitals.
Right.
Full name in capitals. You may have seen it on letters when they're bills and things.
Yes.
I got one the other day. And that's basically who they're talking to. They're talking to a dead entity, a non-living fiction. The whole straw man thing, yes, that came from trying to point out what was going on.
Yeah.
It's not a real man or woman. It's a person. It's a non-real entity. It's a fake entity. Yes, vessel. Classed as a vessel. And you're lost at sea, which means they are allowed to have authority over everything, like your estates, like
Yeah,
it says.
yeah. I find that, the fact that people are allowed to have access to your estate, or the government are allowed to have access to your estate after 7 years, in some cases, is a little bit, in violation of surviving relatives. I mean, you can argue that somebody is presumed dead after 7 years.
Yeah. But I mean, what happens though sometimes though, Grim, let's say somebody has a large amount of money in their estates,
Yeah.
and they are lost at sea for 10 years, and their son or wife, let's say, take over the business, because that's what will happen after those 7 years. The lawyers will come out and go, okay, it's now classed as lost at sea, dead, so now we can make a move on the estate, and then they come back after that 10 years and they're like, I can now reclaim. That is exactly what this is about.
Right.
But,
Yeah. So
but
what happens?
we are all lost at sea. All of us are this dead entity. Like I say, we have been considered. And that how they do it is, we are all master until we're mister, aren't we? And so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That,
you
that
become a
that's the
mister at
legal.
the age of 7. I'm not 100%
Yeah,
certain.
yeah, yeah. It is.
So we, as under stats and action and acts,
Action statutes.
yeah, thank you.
No problem.
We surrender, as parents, our children's names to the state, because it's a legal requirement to register a child's birth, right? I think it recently got changed to 4 weeks, rather than it being 2 weeks, which it was years ago. But
Yeah.
if you fail to do so, you as a parent can technically be fined. But what it also means is that the child isn't issued a national health number, which means that they don't get any treatment, theoretically.
Yes.
They don't exist. Because the only thing which stays with you all your life is your
I'm
national
I'm not against it initially, but why not educate? And then at 7 years old, say, what do you want to do? Stay dead, lost at sea with the government in charge of everything? Or would you like to be free from that? It won't change any of the legal rights or lawful rights that you will have after that and had before it. What would you like to do? Don't you think that would be a more fair way of doing it?
I think that if a child is when a child's of an age, and I'm not talking about the physical age of understanding, then yes, they should be given the choice. Same as anybody else. If they want
I
to,
only say the 7 years because it's the 7 years that are in what I just read. Except gave you.
Yeah.
The details.
I mean, apparently you can sort of technically become unregistered.
Not unregistered, but you can claim to be alive. Like I read out, the third part was basically like, if you make a claim to be alive, like that theoretical guy I just mentioned, lost at sea for 10 years, comes back and he reclaims his estate, then it's all good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's what it is. So, because they've used the sea law, what it is they've allowed people to reclaim, and that's all it is. So I don't mind that you can be registered as such. It's just like, okay, then later on, let's not be.
Yeah, makes sense, because our law is sort of based on maritime law.
Yeah, well, the maritime law is, but yes, we have, it's the demon from the Leviathan from the ocean has come in onto land and ruling on the land. Sorry, I thought you might like that because Grim Reaper picture made me do it.
Yeah. I must admit, theoretically, I think you're right. We can do that, but we would still, even after reclaiming, we would still have to abide by the acts and statutes
No,
um, because
and
of.
why should and why
Sorry,
should and why should somebody have to do that then, even if they've reclaimed?
because that is the system that we have, and
Ah, but
you can argue till
but
the
under
cows
that you
come
have
home.
less rights. Under that you have less rights.
Well,
Yeah,
under acts and statutes, you have less
yeah,
rights.
yeah. Certainly have more things that they can have you done for.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Are
but
you
you
wearing boots getting into that car? That
right.
jacket's a bit large for driving, isn't it? Are you wearing sunglasses? Are your windows clear? Your tyres have to be at proper um, pressure. Never mind the other things that I've forgotten. Don't sing or dance while driving. These are all things just recently been put in.
Oh
A
yeah,
large time.
the idea behind it all is to make driving safer. Well,
No, it's to make money.
in reality,
Stop people driving.
no. Anything with the word safety in, right?
Mhm.
The public believe, right?
I'm the public, and I don't believe that those things are actually
Yeah,
any.
but
But everyone I've spoken to so far don't believe that those are good ideas to be safe on the
well,
road.
is it right that pedestrians and cyclists should have right over the automobile?
No, because I've been highly against that as soon as that put in. Yeah, another one of the points that I would have made if I remembered it. Yeah, I could go on for freaking days about the things that have been coming in though. There's so many acts and statutes that are absolutely ridiculous now, aren't they?
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree with you at all.
Soon we're going to be going out and we're going to be coming home with a few £1,000 fines and going, I can't drive anymore or something stupid like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, we could argue till the cows come home in a court of law, common law, right?
No, well, no. Why would you? What makes you say that?
Because you would be,
You're going to the wrong court.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then
That's the
don't go to
problem.
that court. Go to the way you go through the process, but you go to the right court.
Yeah, but currently, unfortunately, nobody has won a case
Well,
under
that's what
common law.
you say, and I'm curious as to why you say that and what you base that
I
comment on.
based that on the information that I've found in relation to it and how
No, yeah,
how the law courts, as in Court of Appeal, has deemed it, uh,
well, it
and that's
doesn't
where
usually
the
get
issue
put
is.
down as a common law thing that happened,
I mean,
because it's just a law thing that happened.
common laws basically says that you do no harm to anybody else,
Well, no
right?
harm, loss, or fraud.
Yeah, right. So,
But there is also lots of things that help you have rights when it comes
oh yeah,
to being accused of shit,
yeah. Um, I
but
was
not to the person who's lost at sea.
no, I agree. Um, what I'm thinking is along the lines that under common law, is you don't cause any loss or harm or fraud to anybody else, right? And
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. I mean, that sort of
And
dates back.
and it the other specific point to make is it's not Napoleonic law like you're guilty until proven innocent. It's that you've got to prove that someone's guilty.
Yes, yeah, you should.
Okay.
Well, that's what we are technically.
But that's not the way anymore. You will be fined, and then you can't really say much about it either now.
No, you either accept it or you appeal it.
Yeah, and even the appealing situation is getting worse and worse and worse to even get through.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of errors made over the COVID fines, for argument's
Oh,
sake, right?
yeah.
And a lot of those are now getting through and being appealed and being overturned, which is good because it should never have happened in the
Yeah.
first place. So this is where the courts can go in your favour as it stands at the moment, but they should never have been issued in the first place under any circumstances because they were illegal because it was only
Yeah,
guided.
a lot of us did know that, didn't we? You know.
No, but people didn't realise.
Well, I mean, a lot of us knew that, then. You know.
Well, yeah, we knew it.
Us in the
We knew it, and we weren't going to have it. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But if there's anything else which is due to come out later this year, I don't think that we're going to end up with fines again. So that's the way I look at it anyway. If we do, then we'll just have to argue it, from a point of view of law. Now, which law you want to use is entirely up to you. We've got acts and statutes which we have to live by as it stands.
If you are lost at sea.
Yeah. Which, how many people would reclaim their life?
Why would you want to be dead before the Grim Reaper has come to reap your soul?
Me personally, well, you've got to believe in that, haven't you? It's all mythology to me, anyway. But do you know what? It's actually I've never really thought about it because at the end of the day, it would take if all of a sudden 90% of the population reclaimed themselves, right, as living, so to speak, not lost at sea.
Not even that many needed.
Well, I'm
nowhere
just saying,
near that many needed.
But can you imagine what the government would do? I mean, the government's based on, going back to the days of Oliver Cromwell. I mean, it's his fault we got a government, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I blame him for a lot, but there is one thing I can look up to him for. He actually started the whole London cabbie thing. So, that's about the only thing I like him for.
Well, that's fair enough. But he, Oliver Cromwell won. And we've got from then onwards, we fell under the boundaries of barons and lords. I'm not talking about peerage laws there, etc. But they set up a so-called government to represent the people, but the people weren't the peasants. And that's what we are to the government. We are peasants, and they can do anything they like to us. But if you've got in this day and age money, a title, influence, you get away with murder in some cases.
In some cases, yeah.
So
that's because the world is a stage, and somebody important walks on, and you're meant and expected to bow to them, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it is pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the current system is fair in any way, shape, or form. I don't believe. I believe that a lot of laws should have been repealed years ago. Because.
What do you think about common law being repealed? As in, the black belt barrister points out.
I don't think it should. Well, that would be an act.
Yeah. Over something that can't be changed.
Yeah, I mean, common law has been put into acts and statutes along the way because, I mean, it's all based originally on the Magna Carta. And then once Oliver Cromwell came to power, so to speak, things changed, and we got acts and statutes which have incorporated a lot of in fact, near enough all of the Magna Carta, with the exception, I think, of 4 items, because it's just not worth trying to put that into acts and statutes. from their point of view. However,
Well,
I
it's so
do.
much easier for them to make more money, though, isn't it?
Yeah, well, everything is about the government making money. They screw us over with taxes, but even if we'd have been answerable to
They are a business, you know.
king or a queen, we'd still be in the same boat.
Yeah, they are a business, you know.
A business. Oh yeah,
Hmm?
they are a business. Everything is a business.
Everything is a business. I was waiting for you to say.
Yeah, everything is. No matter what we do, it's a business.
It's all on the stock exchange as well.
Yeah. Uh, I don't operate a business. I'm not interested in operating a business. But in order for me to do what I do, right, I don't audit. Right, I believe that there should be free speech. I believe that everyone's got the right for that to do that. I don't agree or believe in hate speech or discrimination, but to me that would cause harm to somebody else. So I suppose I'm sort of halfway between common law and the acts and statutes, because until people change their viewpoint, we're going to be stuck with acts and statutes.
Until people claim that they're living at the very least.
Yes, yeah.
And that is what everyone can do, as was indicated on the legislation.
Yes, but then you're using acts and statutes to become living.
Yes, and that's the only way, because you're already in that world, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just.
It happened when I was born, you know, and then it truly finished when I was 7, and I never really got it. And I do remember being confused about all that and asking about that, but nobody really knew.
Well,
there was no internet.
No, I don't remember ever discussing that with my parents.
I think I asked the question, nobody knew.
Yeah. I didn't understand why I became a Mister all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But
I had a mate. His surname was Bates. Nothing against anyone with the surname Bates, but he used to have the odd letter with him, and he'd be like, "Look at that," and it said Master Bates.
Yes. Yep.
Right, and we didn't get it. It wasn't funny. It was just like, "Look at that." It was only years later we used to call him Master Bates. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that then it becomes funny. Because we've.
And he wished he'd never took one of them fucking letters in.
So what's the answer?
Well, the Bill of Rights, for one.
Which Bill of Rights?
1689, 1688. Well, you know, there's a slight revision, but they're pretty much the same. There was a mistake.
You are aware that the government are rewriting the Bill of Rights.
Well, this is the point.
This
is the point. You can't change that, though. You can't change it. Things can be revised, but they can't change the original point.
No. Well, they've revised it in the past, and they revised it when we were in the EU, right? And a lot of things which was revised led to better pieces of legislation against discrimination. And for people who have disabilities, it was probably the best thing that ever happened. From a businessman's point of view, it was probably the worst thing that could happen, because now they have to provide accessible access, etc., or reasonable accessible access, which means they've got to spend money and they can't claim it back from the state. They can't reduce it, reduce their tax bill, for instance. It's money which they've just got to put to one side, and they know that they're going to lose it.
So by this, are you kind of saying that, like, if we do what I say and claim to be alive, that they won't be able to afford to run their business?
No, they wouldn't. If we did what, if we all reclaimed our lives, then they would turn around and go, "Well, that's an act in statute. Don't have to do it."
Yeah, but you've already done it. You do it yourself.
You
don't need them.
You know,
You
I'm
don't need
talking
them.
from a businessman's point of view or business
And
person's
it is,
direct.
yeah. Funnily enough, you can properly own and run a business once you've done that. It's kind of, you do it in that straw man situation. It's not really real, it's, you're playing. It's not real. It's
Yeah.
theirs. Everything's theirs. Like your car is theirs. It's not
Oh yeah.
yours. You're the registered keeper.
Yes.
You
And it's
know
not proof of ownership either.
exactly. And
It's,
and the DVLA pointed that out to me. You see, a business can own a vehicle.
if you own a
And you can
car,
be the registered keeper,
yeah,
but the business can
the only way that you can be the true owner is through a bill of sale.
own. Yeah, but when you
A
say
re-
true owner, that's like harking back to what I'm exactly saying is what it actually gives you the right to do.
yeah. Oh
Yeah,
no, I see where you're coming from. And I'm just looking at it
yeah,
from um, a slightly different viewpoint. Um, according to the DVLA, right, the logbook isn't proof of ownership. The only thing that's proof of ownership is a bill of sale or a receipt. So when the coppers start accusing you of not owning the vehicle, but you've paid for it and you've got a piece of paper to say that you bought it, at that moment in time, it did belong to you. Once you re-register it in your name, you are giving up all rights to the ownership of that vehicle to the DVLA. So it's the DVLA that actually own it from that point onwards.
yes. But I've seen people actually claim proper ownership of their vehicle through the Minister of Transport.
What, he owns the vehicle, suppose
No, no,
technically.
but it's him who's in full authority of the DVLA.
Yeah. Well, technically, I suppose he would own it, own all the vehicles.
Well, it's the government, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like the DVLA is a subsidiary of the government, which is why the Minister of Transport is above it.
Mm. It's like you take out a phone contract, right? Or a pay-as-you-go SIM card. Some of these companies now insist that even a pay-as-you-go SIM is registered
Yeah.
before it can be used, which means you've got to hand over your personal details to them, right? There are a few that you can still get hold of, and you pay £1 or whatever it is, and you can use it and just top up, etc.
Or you get somebody else to register your phone for you.
Yeah, well, that's the other way. That's the other way of doing it. But it's the SIM card which you're registering. But that SIM card can be tracked wherever. It's not the phone; it's the SIM card, and they can track where the calls are made from to within a few feet. That's how good the tracking is. But why would anybody want to give those details to a company?
Well, because we're trained to.
Yeah, exactly. We're indoctrinated
I've had it
from
with
a
some of
young
these
age.
companies. You know where some company phones you up and they're like, they know your name, and they're like, okay, can you just confirm your address? I'm like, well, you've just only told me that you know my name,
So you
and
confirm the address.
actually, like, I'm not going to give away any information unless you confirm to me first what your information is, or I'm giving my information to you and you don't have it. That's my thought on this. So I'm not going to do that. And they're like, oh, sometimes the phone's gone down and they've gone, and it's like, yes, I think that was a scam.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It's like when people ring you up and they say that you've got an infectious virus on your PC,
Yeah,
and
that's an old
they
one, isn't
claim
it?
the classic one is that they're ringing from BT, and then they want to speak to the account holder,
Mm.
So when you turn around and say, "Well, what name have you got as the account holder?" They can't give you that information because they haven't got access to it. All they've got access to is your phone number, nothing else. So, and they're fishing for more information,
Mm.
and to scam you. Yeah, you got this
And,
virus.
and, and
Really,
that's
I've
kind
got a
of
virus on my PC. Oh, that's good. I haven't got a PC. Well,
it,
it's coming
it's
from
quite
your IP address.
it's funny. It's funny you mention all this because, like, it kind of points out how bad an idea it is having to give these companies like a phone company your information because they share it.
Oh yeah, that's the trouble.
And then the more it's out there, the more somebody's going to get hold of it.
Yeah.
Unscrupulous,
There's a couple of important
scrupulous.
boxes that people need to tick. The first one is untick. The first one is not to receive any promotional stuff, and the other one is not to receive any phone calls, and their information is not to be shared. However, when you look at the terms and conditions, right, of the service, it does state that if your account falls into arrears, it may be passed on to a third party for collection of the said arrears. And by taking on that service, you're agreeing to those terms and conditions.
Well,
So,
yeah, there's a lot of consent that goes on, obviously.
I can
It's all
only,
contract
I
law.
will always
Like
advise.
legislation, sorry, acts and statutes tend to end up making you consent,
Yes, yeah,
which is a very important point. Like normally we just consent, like you say, you need to put this info in, and these people phone us up, and because they know to do that.
well, here's a question for you. How many people read the terms and conditions of a service?
Nobody.
Doesn't matter
There
what
was
it is.
there was a lecturer. He used to teach his but the first lesson, and he was like computer scientist. Yeah, but the first lesson he would do was everyone open up a Facebook account. Put a fake name. Like you're not going to create it. We're going to go to the terms and conditions part. So everyone went there, and he said, "Now read them." And everyone's like, "Ugh." He said, "Read them," and everyone had to read them. And after reading them, not one person in that class wanted to join.
Yep,
I thought that was a very good lesson.
it is. I advise everybody to read the terms and conditions. Now, terms and conditions. I mean, I work within an industry where you've got a get out of jail clause with anybody using the service. You agree to the terms and conditions, and in the terms and conditions, it says this, and to get quoted, well, I quote them, right? And they say around and say, well, who ever reads the terms and conditions? And I went, well, I do. It's boring, but I want to know what I'm agreeing to.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think it's important. And they go, oh, right, well, it's stupid. You shouldn't have these terms and conditions in a. And I was like, well, hang on a second. You're agreeing blindly because if you're applying for
Yeah.
anything online, there's a tick box. And
Mhm.
in that tick box is the terms and conditions. And if you turn around and you just click it, you are signing your life away to that company because they have control.
Yeah. In fact, through that process that guy mentioned, making everyone read it, people realize that anything they put on there is not owned by them anymore. Any photo, anything.
Well, when you put something up on the internet, which is using a third party, you don't know what's going to happen to that at a later date. You don't know how that's going to be used, even though it's your personal
Oh yeah, I mean,
information.
people been made memes out of so many times. It's like,
Yeah.
hold on a minute.
I mean, when it's in the public domain, you're handing it over to literally anybody, and this is how people can get away with taking your image and doing what the hell they like with it, because it's in the public domain. And there's been quite a few people who turned around to me and said, "All I need is your face,
Hmm.
and I can make you look really stupid." Well, of course you
Yeah.
can.
A friend did it to me one time with his iPhone. He got his iPhone and he recorded me for about 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then he did another 3 or 4, 5 seconds, and he put them together and he looped them and fucking made them go backwards and forwards. And oh my god, it was so funny. But I was like, but that's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And because they
and
did
it
it, they
came from
own the
nothing.
rights to
It's
that.
just like all I did was laugh and like rock forward once, but he had me rocking. It was like, what the hell you done? Wow, like, yeah,
There's quite a few
that was
people
all done in
like
like a minute.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who do things like
Yeah.
that.
I think I said,
within
delete that,
communities.
please, mate. That's
But
terrible.
yeah, but once they redo it, they own the rights to it,
Yeah,
so they can
yeah.
do what they want with it because
And, unless he uses it for marketing purposes, sales.
yeah, and if they use it to harass you in any way, shape, or form, as well, because then, but there again, you're falling under
Yeah,
causing
so
harm,
yeah,
etc.
yeah.
Um, we would, it's an act and statute that protects you, but it's also common law that protects you. Now, the thing I would say about common law is it's also common sense. And that's something that we don't have anymore. We don't have that.
We don't have common sense, but we
Common
do.
sense.
But we do have a common law, which,
Yes.
and common sense used to be common sense, didn't it? But it's not anymore.
No.
Which means it can be again.
No. I mean, for somebody
Nothing is
who,
ever
I mean,
forever.
yeah, I mean, I have to sit down throughout the day, right? I've got to use a computer all day, right? It's part and parcel of my job. Now, because of acts and statutes, there is an onus on my employer to ensure that I don't get any sort of eye strain, back strain, or whatever. You with me? And they've got to allow
Got
adjustments.
liability insurance though as well. Like.
Yes, but their insurers insist that people that the company puts in certain aspects so that any chances of a successful claim is reduced, which is the strange bit, shall we say, because it doesn't always work that way. Because a manager can do something without even realizing and be in breach of policy, of the insurance requirements, shall we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
those are businesses though, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What they've kind of done is they've made us like businesses.
Yeah.
And then they can stamp anything on, the fucking list to have us for.
Well, I'll tell you what. Something else.
That's why when you claim a life, you claim of life, then you're actually able to own a business as opposed to be the business.
Yes. Yes. Which makes sense.
Yes, because of course, when you go court, you're supposed to be between a man or a woman or whatever. So the point is not a business, not a dead entity, not a. That's how it should be done. Yeah.
Yes.
You get your day in court.
But do you get a
as opposed to getting fined
court?
before you even go there? Sorry.
Do you get a fair deal in court?
Well, as long as you go to the correct court, yes.
You know,
It may not even come to there because, to be honest, some of the, let's say, people out there who know in these businesses that try and make you pay, they obviously come across the people who have taken basically their rights back, you know?
Yep.
And they have to deal with them, don't they? How do you think they deal with them?
Oh, it's usually an out of court settlement.
There doesn't even usually go there.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yep.
even usually go there.
Yeah. It'll just
Because they don't mess with them. They don't want to take them to court, them have all that, because it might go wrong if they go to the right court eventually.
Oh yeah, and anything which goes through court
So they ignore it.
is public knowledge, and they can't protect anyone from publicising what they've done. And it's their reputation which they want to protect. So that's the reason why they will do a settlement out of court and put a gag order on you.
Or not even. You see, I'm not even going as far as that. A lot of these companies, would just stop, just leave you alone, ignore you, even if they've got like a certain amount of money. I mean, they might sell it to another company, you know, and then they'll try, but they wouldn't bother with you much anymore.
No. Well,
too much trouble then, you know.
In certain aspects, yes, I agree.
Because they do lose. Like
yes.
The company, they lose sometimes. So
it's about risk.
Have to nip that in the bud, don't they? You know.
Yeah. The first thing a company does is they look at the risk factor, and when it comes to courts, they look at the percentage of what they're likely to win and what they're not likely to win.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a classic example. You owe technically money to a finance company, right? Mm-hmm. And you turn around to say, well, I disagree. I don't owe that money. Show me the contract, right? Mm-hmm. Show me the proof of where I agreed to it. Now, because a lot of stuff is done online, it's very difficult to prove that. Unless you can demonstrate that where it was signed up from, the IP address, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. So what they do is they hand it over to third parties, because that's in the terms and conditions that was agreed, shall we say.
Okay.
Right? And you get some numbskull walking up and dragging their knuckles along the floor, ringing a bell, demanding money with menaces, right? But they don't own the debt, right? The debt doesn't exist technically, right? Because if you've reclaimed yourself, right? How can you owe the money?
How am I? Yeah, exactly.
It's impossible to owe the money.
Yes.
But if you haven't, then technically speaking, yeah, all right. They can argue that.
You see my point, then?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking very much along the same lines as yourself. Now, the other way to do it is to use their own laws, the acts and statutes against them, right? And that would mean,
and that is easy. Yeah, it seems.
What you'd have to do is to disappear legally as a person, right?
The person is the dead entity.
Yes, but you disappear, so you don't appear anywhere, right, on anything for a 7-year period, not 6, as people tend to think.
That's when you're lost at sea, then.
Yes.
You're already lost at sea. You claim life. You don't need to be lost at sea again.
Yeah, no, but I'm
Saying
saying if you're
you'd
staying in
be
the same,
cancelling out your claim of life. There'd be
yeah,
no
what,
point.
yeah, well,
I
no,
think
what,
I think I know where you're going, but do you see
yeah,
my point?
oh yeah, I
Just
do.
don't.
Well, you see, after 6 years, legally, no company can chase you for a debt, right?
Yeah,
Because it
suppose.
falls off your credit file, supposedly, right? So if you disappear, I mean, one of the things which they look at is the electrical register and everything. So if you don't register, you don't have anything in your own name, right? You don't apply for anything. You effectively disappear. You don't exist. And after 7 years, you can do what the hell you like. The only thing you've got to remember is that you never apply to one of these companies that you owed the money to originally.
Yeah,
Because although they can't legally chase you for the debt, right, what they can do is they can say, yeah, we'll give you service, provided you pay the original amount off that you owed us. Because without that, we're not prepared to give you a service because they're a business. So
yeah.
they can do what they can put whatever
But funnily enough,
special terms and conditions in if you want service from them.
I had a debt with a bank, and I'd stopped paying it because I found them guilty in my own little court in the bank of gaining money through deception, and the bank manager wouldn't see me, but the bank manager said after I made that accusation, he said we have no defence for that accusation.
Well, in that
And,
case,
he also said I don't want to see you here again.
I wonder why.
And so I walked away and I stopped paying my the payments. I didn't bother with banks for years after that. For over 10 years, I didn't have a bank.
Yeah.
And I found that there was a claim to be made, but unfortunately, it was like half of the money that I would have, half of the money I owed. So to have made that claim, I would still have had to have paid half of the money back to them. So I was like, no, that's not much of a claim of anything, you know.
Yeah. So if you went back to the same bank, they could turn around to you and say, "We'll give you service, but we want the money that was owed from X length of time." You know, but who would go back to the same banking people? You go
Well,
to
you
a
can
different
still
one.
use a bank. You can, yeah, exactly. You still use a bank, but you know.
I disappeared
To be honest,
off the
to
face
be
of
honest,
the earth, and this is how come I know it works.
yeah. I mean, have you heard of a
Everything's
gold
gone.
back? Have you heard of a gold back?
No.
A gold back is literally leaf gold, 24 carat leaf gold in a
Yeah.
note.
Right.
That's the real money.
Well, gold.
Gold,
I mean,
no.
yeah. I
Nothing
mean,
wrong with that, surely. Whatever happens, everyone who's got money has got money.
yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
happens. Back to buy gold? No, it is gold.
Well, it's not a promise to the bearer.
No, it's an absolute ownership of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, money is well, paper money is. As I
All your
prefer it.
savings should be in gold backs, I say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what
It
do
is,
you
it
think
is
of this
legal tender
idea?
as well.
Yeah. What do you think of this idea of them bringing in, getting rid of money and using the uh, internet money? Doesn't matter what label you put on it.
Yeah, not really. I've never really been sold on it. And I've got a friend who's well into it, but he, messing around, he lost 10 grand in a night.
Yeah,
And
but
he's a genius.
could you imagine a situation where if you say the wrong thing, you don't get any credits that month?
Yeah,
So you're
that's
being
one reason why.
controlled. social.
One reason
social
why, yeah,
it's bad enough having a financial credit score. You with me?
I
But to
know.
a certain extent, I can sort of see the logic behind it, right?
Yeah, but
But a social
don't
credit
you
score,
remember the days? Don't you remember the days when you could be able to go to a bank, speak to a bank manager, have that talk? That it would be your credit check. You'd have to take a few things to prove some things, some questions, yeah,
yep,
and then you'd get your loan, or you wouldn't.
yeah, because the decision was made by a human, not by
Exactly.
a computer.
Which is why I'm not sold on much of anything of the computer. That's all a stage, a digital stage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I like computers. I'm very invested in like cyberpunk kind of virtual reality, cyberspace. Like, but it's more of a warning. I've never wanted to become a cyborg. Let's say, and live forever. I think maybe we should get a few more years, but like anyway, my point is, it's a warning, and it should be thrown up a few red flags with what we've said just about the whole digital system.
Yes.
That's why you need money, you need cash, you need gold backs. Never mind all this fucking, get rid of cash.
No,
The
you
other day, I was at a shop, and they were like, the computer's not working, and I'm like, I've got cash, and I could pay. And luckily, I had the right money for what I wanted, but I got cash,
yes.
and they
We're
allowed me to pay.
we are too reliant these days on digitally paying for stuff. Digitization is might be quicker, and when it works, yes, it's very good. The other thing I've got a problem with is the number of jobs it's taken away as well.
Yeah.
Because even accountancy is now done online. You know, at one time you used to take all your books to an accountant and they go through every single page and work out what you owe, what you didn't owe, what your tax should be, etc. Um, Now you do it all online and upload it, and who's making the fortune out of you?
Mm-hmm.
Your accountant and the taxman at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hey, it's a bit early in the morning for such a topic, for me.
It's early for me as well.
I'm thinking, how many people are we boring?
Well, my point is that you've talked about all the acts and statutes and that legislation for that and that, but like you've also agreed that like you can step away from that, but it's a choice. Everything's a choice. But by stepping away from it, it's still a choice.
Yeah.
It's a contract. You're still open to do something like you used to if you really wanted to. Well, necessarily would you, but it's a choice, more of a free choice there.
Yes, I'm all for people to have choices, and there's something which I picked up on.
And a free choice is better than just a choice.
Yes, yeah. Well, if we are given a right to do something, that
Yeah.
means that we're being given permission.
No, not necessarily. Rights are yours.
Yeah, but if we're given that by the authorities, right,
We
they're
already have
giving
rights.
us we're being given permission for it to do it. If you think about the Constitution of the United
And
States,
well, yes, well, that's certainly one thing. It's very close to our constitution.
yes, it was based on ours,
Exactly.
but it's
Yeah.
a written document that was agreed, giving rights, but it's giving permission. My
Yeah.
argument is we don't need permission to have rights. We just take them.
Well, since then, we don't need permission. We've already got them. They are taken by us, yes. But we allow other people to give them to us.
That's it.
Yeah.
Allow.
Allow.
We've given permission.
So we need to stop allowing and take our rights back.
Yes. It's like freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech subject to.
Yes, but you know, in reality, we actually still do.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say
We
what
do
I
have
want
freedom
to
of
say
speech,
on the more traditional platforms.
I mean, we right now are talking on YouTube, which is a little club which we've agreed to abide by their rules while we're here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a little separate imaginary men's club of sort. You know what I mean? Not men's club, but you know,
I know what you mean. I know,
of the old. Yeah.
And the problem I've got is we're about to, as a country, hand over even more rights to the corporation with the online safety bill.
Yeah, that's worldwide as well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it is. I totally agree. The issue I've got is that all these companies that hold all our data, right, will end up start sharing it even more, probably be
Absolutely.
more covert, right? And if they don't like what you are saying, you will either be banned from the service or further restrictions will be placed on whatever account you've got. If they don't like what you're saying.
Yes.
But they dictate what you can say and what you can't say. And that's how, they're taking responsibility for, or being given the responsibility for keeping us quiet.
Yeah.
So, and that to me is taking away our rights even more.
And funnily enough, Bob Scott just mentions the World Health Organization. They're taking over pandemics in the future.
Yes, well, I
Not
never,
not just taking
I
information from
personally,
now. They're in charge.
I always took the WHO as being a government's quango, right? But all governments, not just ours, because they reach out to and they advise all governments on various things, right? And who runs the World Health Organization? Who actually is behind it? Who puts the money into it? And it's certainly not people like you and I.
No.
It is governments and financiers who've got the money.
Exactly.
And it's them that are dictating through them what we should and shouldn't do. And oh, by the way, it's all right for them to make a mistake because they can just turn around and say, well, the science has now dictated that information that we gave you was wrong. We've recalculated it, and now we're saying that you need to do this and not that, which we said originally. And then every other country just follows suit without questioning. And I think that's the one right that we should have is the right to question or the right to think for ourselves. And we're not allowed that anymore. But,
we're not allowed it now.
But then again, where we ever allowed it?
It used to be.
Common sense.
Well, back in the 80s, I remember people used to say whatever the hell they want. People weren't melting. I mean, there was the odd melt, but they weren't melting and going to court and making it a fucking public thing. It's just some shit that happened between them.
Yes. Yeah.
Because of what they said,
And here's something which I find, I can't say amusing, but If a copper arrests you or treats you incorrectly, you take out a private lawsuit against them, yeah? But the
Yeah.
copper doesn't pay. It's the insurance money, or it's the stabbery, which is funded by, in that case, by the public purse, by the taxes, right? And I understand that the theory is that, oh, the police will learn, and as a result, they'll change their ways. Well, it doesn't work.
Taxes of the businesses, right?
You know, yeah. I mean, all you're
Taxes
doing
of
is,
the businesses in that country.
yeah,
That's right, isn't
oh,
it? Yeah.
yeah. All we're doing is
Not
just,
particularly the people.
well, the people who pay the taxes, that money goes to the police services. You sue the police,
Yeah,
right?
they get paid directly from the government. Yeah.
Yeah, which,
2/3, and then
yeah,
again from the people.
yeah. So, wouldn't it make more sense that the
Well, they're not doing the
individual
job as they
pays,
should do. I'm
the
sorry, they
individual?
really don't represent what they were began as,
No, I agree.
and so I don't want to pay them now.
Well, we don't have the option to opt out, unfortunately,
That's
because
just my opinion.
yeah, no, we don't have the
But
option to
but
opt
do
out.
they represent what they are supposed to?
Well, well, here's an interesting one. Why
What
was the
they what
why
they owe to?
why was the police force, or Robert Peel's idea of the police force, why was it there? Why was it set up initially?
Well,
What was it set up for?
one reason was because people used to have to hunt down people, and those people did it as a job. We did have bounty type hunters,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and the police took that job on. Really,
Yes, but what
you
else
can't
did
actually
they
do
do?
that because they're now taking it on.
Yeah,
You know, you can do it. You can become a constable under common law.
yep.
But other than that, you can't really do it. You make a
Yeah.
citizen's arrest, but fucking hell, yeah, try doing that.
Well,
No, thanks.
yeah, I know, I know. You're not going to do it in reality, not unless there's a few of you.
Well,
But
I've been in a situation where they were thinking of doing that, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a good one, guys. Really not a good idea.
yeah, you don't want to go down that kind of worms.
Yeah, I saved that from happening, but the guy was very slippery, so we only managed to get back what was
well,
owed.
yeah. Well, Robert Peel.
And that's like just doing basically a job that no one could do. The police couldn't do it. Collectors couldn't do it. Like no one could do it. But a few of us went down and did it. But I had to look into, and I even tried getting in touch with a copper to speak about it. The one that had been in charge of trying to do something about the issue.
Yeah.
But, it was property. It was thousands of pounds worth of property. Needed back.
Well,
the guy was an illegal immigrant who had eventually, been taken on, and he was on benefits and £10,000 benefit fraud as well by the government. Police do nothing. Police do nothing.
No, because they say it's not their job to do X, Y, and Z. It's all done by
But it
somebody
is their job. Bounty hunting is their job.
Yeah, but also the other job that they do, and they were set up for, was to protect businesses. When Robert Peel set up the police force, I mean, it's changed since then, obviously.
Yeah, but
right?
they take the oath.
But they were never set up to protect life.
No, they keep the peace.
They were there.
And and that means protect life. I'm sorry, it does.
But they were originally set up to protect businesses first. That was their first agenda.
Keep the peace. What?
And to keep the peace, which was second.
Well, all they do now is protect businesses.
Yes.
And mop up after.
And hide.
And make a mess when they mop up.
Behind yes. Usually it's a nice big carpet
They're
that they
shit.
pick up and they
They're
shove it
shit.
underneath.
They are
You know.
shit. I'm not saying we don't need them. We need the old police at the very least,
Well,
not the new force. Force
no,
you to do this, force you to do that. No, you're supposed to keep the peace.
yeah, I was brought up in a time when police officers were police officers, right? There might have been corruption going on, within the force, but certainly nothing like it is now. Um, and all the cover-ups and whatnot, but you had respect for the copper on the beat because they were always there. I used to think of them as whether was right or not at the time. I'm probably wrong. As the speaking clock, because I was told if you need to know the time, always ask a copper because a copper always carries a watch, and there's always coppers around walking on the beat, so you were never late as a kid home. To get dinner, there was no excuse. You're told to be home at a certain time. You ask the copper, oh, and you go, I'm late. I'll have to go. Thanks. But I used to have a lot of respect for the police force and for the police.
I've met good coppers.
And they're not all bad. I'm not going to say that they are because they're not.
There's enough out there that make it bad, though, unfortunately.
Yes, and it's those.
And obviously, there's a lot out there that make it bad in the civilian population. Else we wouldn't need coppers.
Yep.
But they need to be doing like the real crime. If someone parks on a double yellow line and it doesn't block anyone, it's not blocking any entrance, no one's around, does it matter?
Well, to me, it doesn't.
It doesn't matter to a lot of people. They park on them still.
I don't think you should get.
So what good does that really do? All it does is for those people that break the rules, then they
I can park
sorry,
on. I can legally park on double yellow lines. What I can't do is park on double yellow lines where there's markings on the curb. Not allowed to, but I can legally park on double yellow lines. But
you can legally park on them if there's no like bit on the end that makes it like a T, like a double T.
yeah, but
If
thing
that's
is,
not on the end, then you're all right.
oh yeah, here's a good one for you, right?
I saw a guy park on the double yellow line so it didn't have the T bit on the end outside the Crown Court. He gave me a lift and dropped me off there, and I was like, wow, what about your and he went, this T thing here. He took a photo of his car parked on him.
Yeah, there's no T. There's to stop it. Then technically it doesn't exist. It can't be enforced. It won't stop someone from trying to enforce it. But I personally wouldn't want someone to ticket someone just for that. I mean, if they're not causing a danger to anybody in any way, shape, or form, then what's the issue? If it's just for a couple of minutes while they nipped into a shop or something,
Yeah. I went and got a mortgage. 5 minutes it took to sign it, and I couldn't park anywhere. And I parked on double yellows, and I got a ticket.
Yeah, but you weren't.
And I found him, and I drove past him, and I went, "You cunt!" He was just that close, though, because I had to drive past him to get out of there. It was like, really?
I can understand some areas, where you
5 minutes. You get 5 minutes. You get 5 minutes, and he'd already done it because, of course, he didn't know how long I'd been there.
Yeah,
so I got 5 minutes, and I didn't get 5 minutes, but it took 5 minutes, so that's all I needed.
And you ended up having to pay it.
Yeah, but I got a house. Because if I hadn't signed, I wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say one thing. What's been going on in the chat? I'm not happy about it.
I've not seen the chat.
Anyone who's involved, and no, I'm not bringing it up onto the panel. People have got channels that they can go and do that on or whatever. But that wasn't why I made a live stream. So that isn't what I'm going to make the live stream about or let it be about. That's your shit, not mine.
Not knowing
And I
what
am
you're going on
disappointed
about.
in you guys.
You've got. Don't know what's been going on in the chat.
I haven't been looking much, but when I have seen something, it's been very hard to not let it affect what I've been talking about. But I have done my best, and I'm glad you weren't looking. But yeah, there's a load of shit. Fucking, I don't know, just take it somewhere else, guys.
I don't know what's going on. I'm not even going to go there, to be honest. I'll end up getting really confused and disconnecting.
Sorry, I gotta read.
Yeah, I'm on a little laptop, so screen.
Don't know about loyalty. What? So I've got to choose. Hold on. Well, that's not very good thing to put to someone. I support the guy. I just said all of you who is involved in that. Well, obviously no one has respect for me anyway. Who's come and done that?
So I don't know what's. I can't comment.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. How depressing. You've been brought into it. I don't know what you've done, Outlaw King.
I think I'm getting paranoid. Again.
What paranoid? Why?
Well, I thought they were talking about me.
I have no idea what had been going on, to be honest. Just the argument maybe from the other day or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't know.
It's like, what have I done now?
But am I not supposed to address what happened? Is happening or something? It just seems to be getting quite serious, and I don't know why. It's not my business, you see. So, you know what I've supported.
Well, that's the trouble with YouTube, to be honest. Everything gets put around, and I don't know what's going on in any way, shape, or form. So
I'm not turning on anyone, thank you. We can all have our moments, so I'm going to forgive anyone if they've, but come on, let's chill, please.
Too early in the morning for me.
Tell me about it.
I'm having a chat with you, working at the same time. So I've got to admit, I've just not been able to look at the chat, concentrate on what you're saying, and the job at the same time. It's a bit gets a bit much looking at three different things. But hey.
Well, I thought we had quite an interesting chat.
Well, if nobody liked it, my apologies. it's not a subject I would normally talk about, to be honest. But that's life. It's the day I did. You know,
Yeah.
what can I say? Um, if people thought it was boring and etc., then my apologies. Um,
I don't know what boring is.
some people would say, "Do you want a mirror?" Joke.
Well, I was going to joke about my voice because people have said it puts them to sleep.
It's great for insomnia, I must admit. So's mine. Just many a time I will tune into certain lives when I need to go to sleep because it just totally relaxes me. It's not so much the conversation; it's the tone of the voice.
Funnily enough, that has happened. I have done that. Yeah.
You know, um, so yeah, I'll go to bed, I'll lie down and carry on listening to whatever it was I was listening to before, because it's the tone of voice which relaxes, not so much the conversation. You know, conversation can be really interesting, but it's just the tone of voice. Hey, up! I think the missus is moving stuff. She's tidying up. God help us. I won't be able to find anything. What's the next topic, or are we not having another topic?
I don't know because I think it's potentially going to be about this chat thing going on. And
Oh, right.
I don't really. I'm surprised with everyone. It's yeah, and disappointed. But
Can I just
but as
do
far as I
a
want to go.
yeah? Can I well before I drop off then, and you can bring up somebody else up, or you can have a chat to the chat. Um, can I just plug something? I know it's your channel. That's the reason why I'm asking permission.
Go on.
Saturday night, whether you believe in spirits or you don't believe in spirits, personally, I prefer vodka. Um, there is a live show on Saturday night, hosted by Wolf Lover, and they're doing a live ghost hunt investigation from 9 o'clock. There you go. Shameless, I know, but I said I'd mention it if I could to people. So I don't think I think there's quite a few people who know about it. There's no fakery in it. I've got to admit, it's what you see, what you hear is what you hear and what you see. End of. But
No way.
they're doing it for a charity.
Oh, cool.
Uh, North Northcote Heavy Horse Centre is the name of the place. That's where they do it. It used to be an RAF base, and they've got permission to do it. And there's tickets available for a live audience for people to go. They have sold quite a few tickets, but all the tickets have been sold by the charity for the event. But you don't have to. You can just listen in to it. If you want to make a donation on the night, there will be links there for the charity for people to make a donation directly to them. I think that personally, regardless of what whether you believe in it or not, and it's for charity, it's well worth certainly watching. And if you decide to donate, do that directly to the charity, which isn't a bad thing either. Because after the last 2 years, a lot of charities went to the wall because they didn't get any visitors for some reason.
Oh.
Can't think why.
Mm.
It couldn't be government interference in any way, shape, or form, or the World Health Authority organisation, should say. But yeah, thanks for that. I've enjoyed having a chat with you. It's a while since you and I have had a chat, and I did actually find interesting. You made me think, but you always do. I don't know why. So if I have bored you to tears in the chat, my apologies. Don't argue with each other. There's just no point. It's not worth it. Believe me. Right, I'm going. I'm going to do some work. Or
Well,
get
thanks,
on with
Grim.
what I'm doing. And I'll speak to you again. Don't forget, though, you can always join me on Skype for radio chat when I'm live.
All right.
You know, we
That's
just
a new one.
nip into Skype, where you can say what you like because there's no terms of service.
Yeah,
All right,
as we
cheers,
were talking about. Yeah.
mate. Yeah, take care. Ta-ra.
No worries, you too.
Bye, guys.
I know, people, but yeah, can't we all be a bit more zen? I mean, that means all of us. And sometimes the only way to get a bit of zen is to stop doing what you're doing. And the only way I can see that I have any control of that right now, and no, it's not going to stop you, but it's going to stop you doing it here, is this. Thank you, everybody, and have a good one.